Okay, and we're off learning history. Our first unit, Unit 1, Lesson 1, that we're going to be talking about today is what life was like in North America before any Europeans ever arrived. So we're going to call this North America before contact. And what our objective for today's lesson is that by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify or tell me the different geographical regions of North America and their effect on Native American tribes before the Columbian Exchange. Remember, you want to write down this objective in your guided notes. This lesson and the activity that is pinned with this lesson on your Google Classroom will help prepare you for your mastery check. So let's begin. One theory that exists of how the first peoples that lived in North and South America arrived here was through the Bering Land Bridge. Okay, so you can see here, if I have my little mouse pointer, the Bering Land Bridge up here, that humans followed big game, which was their food, right? Big animals, across the Bering Strait and into the non-glacier parts of North and South America. Glaciers were those giant masses of ice. There's also a new theory that goes along with this, that there's evidence that archaeologists believed that humans actually also could have traveled by boat and landed in parts of South America. So here's just a couple of maps on the left showing how over thousands of years that these people migrated, coming up from Africa, which was the cradle of civilization you've probably learned about in your prior history classes, and they moved up from Africa and spread out across Europe and Asia, and then from Asia, because North America is isolated from those parts of the world, moved over the strait and through thousands of years spread out on the entire continent of both North and South America. So what develops over time are these different cultures. Now, a culture, okay, is a way of life. How do people live? What do they do? And all of these cultures develop differently from one another. So you'll see on the map here that there are different names of tribes, right? You see here, we get our state's name, the Massachusetts, because of the tribe that lived here with that name. You see in the Southwest, we have the Navajo, the Apache, we have the Plains with the Sioux, the Iowa, the Illinois. So you can see that all these places that are now named those things today come from the names of the first peoples that lived there. Okay, so the different colors in different regions are what we're going to be looking closely at in your lesson. So the colors show you where that region is. So for example, the green here, that is the Eastern Woodlands culture. You have the Southeast, you have the Plains here in purple, you have California, the Northwest, the Plateau, and the Great Basin. And then here is just another example of a map that shows you some of the similar things. Now, what a culture is how did those people eat? So what did they hunt? Did they fish? Did they grow food? Were they agricultural? That's the first word you see there. Did they hunt their food? Were they hunters gatherers? Did they fish constantly? I know I said that already. So that is predominantly what a lot of their economic activity was. What did these people do to survive? So your lesson expectations for today, these are your must-dos. So the following should be completed in order to achieve mastery of this lesson. There's a pre-lesson formative vocabulary assignment. There is a Native American group analysis, which you are welcome to work on. After you finish your notes, you'll move on to the vocabulary, and then the group analysis, you can work either individually or with a group or a partner, and then you'll be ready to move on to your mastery check. There also is a should do or aspire to do assignment after you finish the mastery check in order to get better understanding of these topics. So your lesson, you're going to be looking up the 5 major groups, the Northwest Native peoples, the Plains, the Northeast, the Great Lakes, Southwest, and the Southeast. So you're going to be looking at these areas and you're going to be filling out this graphic organizer. I suggest that you work with group members so that you can divide. One of you look up the Northwest, another person look up the Plains. That will just help you gain a sense of understanding of more groups and looking over time. So you're going to look for their type of clothing that they had. What type of home did they live in? Did they have any evidence of religion? What did they eat? That's their diet. And then if you found an interesting fact about them. So we have some pictures here in the lesson. You have this slide deck to pause and look at. You can describe the dress and the clothing. You can see that, in the Northeast, for example, we live in the Northeast. It can be very cold in the wintertime. So lots of layers, lots of clothing. But then in the Southwest, very colorful, right? Oftentimes also it's very warm in the Southwest. These are more of ceremonial clothes. A lot of times people didn't wear clothes at all. So you'll be looking up that information. And where you're going to find that information, if you go to your must do assignment here, right? You have your guided notes that you should be taking right now. Then you'll see the Google Doc. When you open up the Google Doc, you have the slide deck linked here. And you also have a small reading here that you can use to help you fill in this information. Again, our major thing we're looking at today are the 5 different Native American groups. What was their way of life? So what was their clothing, their house, their religion, their diet? We're doing an investigation into the first peoples of the United States. Good luck. If you need help, please let me know.